like the way I move, so I'll move a little quicker now. Come tell me what to do.
With my head still spinning and my thumbs sore from hours of scrolling notes, I bring you my review of Spin Rhythm XD, fresh off the press. As you would expect, Spin Rhythm XD is a rhythm game that features beat-heavy electronic music for you to play DJ in your living room. I've played my fair share of rhythm games, from the classics like DDR and Guitar Hero to the more modern synth riders in Archaea, and I will say that this game does put its own spin on the genre that gives it a very unique flow. Opening the game, you'll have a great deal of options to customize and calibrate gameplay and visuals to your liking, as well as tutorials for most of the levels of difficulty. Just for shits and giggles, I did even try the XD level, knowing full well I was not mentally or physically prepared for it, and new methods of input were still being added to the mix, so there's a lot of replay value if you're a person that likes to push things to the max. As far as gameplay modes, you get your classic arcade experience with a menu set up similar to a DDR game, where you'll choose your track and difficulty and then begin your song. In addition to arcade mode, there is also a daily and weekly challenge, a live mode if you can find other players, unfortunately I was not able to at the time of this review, and a creation mode to make custom levels. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'm patient or creative enough to sit down and craft my own tracks, but I do think that's a cool option for people who like a customized rhythm game experience. When it comes down to the actual gameplay, the basic outline is simple enough. You'll start with two inputs, the left stick and a single action button. You'll move a wheel at the bottom of the screen around using the left stick to match up the colors on the wheel to the color and position of the notes. Circular notes only require the left stick action of matching color and position, while the rectangular markers require you to match and hit an action button at the same time. You'll also come across arrows pointing either right or left. These will require you to flick the stick to spin the wheel in the designated direction, or both ways in the case of the scratch mechanic. As you progress in difficulty, more inputs will be added, like a hold and a right bumper input. There is a health meter to the right of the screen that will become depleted with improper inputs. If you empty your health bar completely, you will fail out of the level and have to start again or choose a new track to try your luck. For beginners or those that are less familiar with rhythm games in general, the easy mode is a great way to acquaint yourself with the controls, and the normal mode feels just right. But the spike in difficulty from normal to hard is very, very real. I was still able to beat a few tracks on the hard difficulty, but it definitely presented me with a significant amount of challenge. As you can imagine, the challenge only grows more menacing from there. Fortunately, the smooth and addicting gameplay was enough to beckon me forward, even instilling some false confidence for me to try songs on difficulties well beyond my level of experience. It's the same feeling I get when rushing into an encounter with an overpowered enemy in a game. You just never know what you're capable of until you try, am I right? I'll get there eventually. After completing a song, you do receive a letter grade, and you can take a look at your stats and where you stand on the leaderboards, if you're into that kind of thing. Visuals in Spin Rhythm XD are clean and neon, so basically a lot like most rhythm games from the last decade or so. It's easy enough to read the notes and meters, and as I mentioned previously, there are a good bit of visual options to choose from. I like the layout in general, and I think it will appeal to any fans of the genre for its familiarity. There are multiple backgrounds and color schemes for the different tracks to keep things visually interesting as well. As we all know, music is a key component to any rhythm game, and Spin Rhythm XD presents over 40 licensed tracks. While I may not have heard of many of these artists like Hyper Potions, Panda Eyes, and Tut Tut Child, I enjoyed the smorgasbord of electronic delights presented for me. A buffet of beats, an hors d'oeuvre of dubstep. I'm making myself hungry, so I'm going to stop. Some tracks were a little too dirty dubstep for my particular taste, but I did find a new genre of music I apparently enjoy very much: ominous electronic sea chanties for pirates. So there's that. In all seriousness, I enjoyed the majority of these tracks, I would say, at least within the context of the game, and I even found a few I'll be adding to my personal playlist. I do hope that the developers intend to add more song packs as downloadable expansions, as there is a great deal of potential here for even more hours of fun. Spin Rhythm XD is a fun addition to any rhythm game lover's collection. The wheel mechanic has an addicting flow, which strangely had a casino-like quality to it, and there is enough variety in both songs and difficulty settings to keep you busy for many, many hours. Clearly, I'm going to need to practice quite a bit more if I stand any chance at a respectable place on those leaderboards, so if you'll excuse me, I think I've recovered enough brain power and thumb strength to give it another go.